All right, today we're going to break down a really powerful idea about one of humanity's oldest metaphors, the cave, and what it tells us about our search for meaning, especially right now in the modern world. So let's just dive right in.
And I want to start by asking you this question, straight up. Where is your cave? Because according to the philosopher Mustafa İslamoğlu, whose work we're digging into, every single one of us has one. You know, it's that inner space we pull back to, that place of solitude, that little corner of our own mind.
But here's the kicker. That inner space, it's not neutral. It's one of two things. It's either a refuge, a place where you can actually recharge, get some clarity, and get ready to face the world, or it's a prison, a place of self-imposed limits and ignorance. So the real question is, which one is yours?
To really get this whole duality thing, we've got to go way back to two foundational stories. Each one is built around a totally different kind of cave. One comes from classic Western philosophy, and the other from the Quran.
Okay, so check out the contrast here. It's pretty wild. On one hand, you've got Plato's famous Allegory. In his story, the cave is absolutely a prison. The people inside are literally chained up, forced to watch shadows on a wall that they think is reality. It's all about ignorance. But then you have the Quranic story of the sleepers, and it's the complete opposite. For them, the cave is a refuge. It's where these young believers run to protect their faith from a corrupt world. For them, it's a sanctuary, a place of freedom where they can get back to what's real.
So, all of that brings the question right back to us, here and now. If a cave can be a prison of comfort and illusion, what do those prisons look like in our world today?
Well, our modern caves are pretty sneaky. They're often disguised as things we want, like achievements or just comfort. You know, it could be the perfectly curated echo chamber of your social media feed. It could be the status that you get from wealth or a powerful job. Or it could be as simple as your own cozy little comfort zone where nothing and nobody ever challenges you. Every single one of these can become a prison, trapping us in a world of shadows and stopping us from ever really growing.
And this quote just hits so hard because it points to the most dangerous cave of all, our own mind. İslamoğlu calls prejudice the mind's blind well. Just picture that. Once you fall in, your perspective is totally locked. It becomes a prison that you built yourself, where you only see the shadows you expect to see, not the actual reality that's happening outside.
The speaker uses this fantastic analogy for this. He calls it living a cuvis, or incubator life. And think about it, right? A baby in an incubator is kept safe from every single germ. But because of that, it can't develop its own antibodies. Its immune system stays weak. Well, when we live in our comfortable little caves, protected from every hardship, we fail to develop what you might call spiritual immunity, that resilience, that toughness we absolutely need to face the real world.
But let's not forget, the cave isn't always a prison. It can be a refuge. The key difference, though, is that the purpose of a true refuge isn't to stay there forever. It's to get you ready to leave.
I mean, just look at the story of the Prophet Muhammad. His retreats to the Cave of Hira, that wasn't an escape. The name Hira is actually related to the Arabic word for seeking. It was a place for deep reflection, for seeking truth. And what was the very first command he received there? It wasn't, hey, stay here and be safe. It was rise and warn. The cave was the launchpad, not the final destination.
So this whole journey for a meaningful life, it kind of looks like this. First, you find your refuge, that quiet space you need for real introspection. Then you illuminate it, you light it up with knowledge and self-awareness. But then comes the hardest part, the most critical step. You have to gather up the courage to leave the comfort of that cave and go walk a path of purpose out in the real world.
And this all brings us to the final, and maybe the most powerful, lesson from that story of the sleepers in the cave. It's a parable about what we think is valuable and what truly has value.
So, the story goes like this. After waking up from a sleep that lasted for centuries, the men were, hungry. They were still stuck in their old reality. So they pulled their money, the silver coins from their time, and sent one guy into town to try and buy some food. And here is the punchline. When he got to the market, he discovered that their money was worthless. It was an ancient currency nobody used anymore. The very thing they believed held all their value, their only means of survival, was worth absolutely zero in this new reality. It was just a handful of old metal.
I mean, that's such a profound metaphor for our own lives, isn't it? We spend so much time and energy accumulating our own modern currencies, chasing wealth, power, fame, status. But the source material is really asking us to stop and think. All of these things can expire.
In the face of a real crisis, or at the end of your life, these so-called currencies might turn out to be just as worthless as those ancient silver coins.
So I'll leave you with this final question to think about. When the world changes on you, when all the superficial things we chase inevitably fail us, what will your valid currency be? What's the one thing you have that will always hold its value no matter what? Maybe it's your character, your integrity, your kindness, the good you actually put out into the world. So, what are you really investing in?